Michael, we talked about this a little bit on Monday, and I asked you if you thought that Mike Evans would be suspended for a game. About 30 minutes after we taped the podcast, the NFL comes down suspending Mike Evans one game for the incident that we saw last week against the New Orleans Saints. They're getting into the altercation once again with Marshawn Lattimore. That's the biggest feud that we have in the NFL running to date here. But Evans will now be suspended one game. It was upheld after he appealed it. James Thrash and the appeals committee decided that he should be suspended. He was actually suspended for this in 2017.
James Thrash is on the. That's his. James Thrash does that job.
He does. I was surprised.
I got a great James Thrash story.
Well,
I got a great James Thrash story. So he's a college kid. I'm at the Eagles, and he's coming out of college. And Dan Shanka, the guy who runs our lads, loved him coming out. Loved him. And so we give him. So after the draft is over, we give him $10,000 as a signing bonus. Right? Yeah. Classic. Give him $10,000 to sign a bonus. Bring him to rookie minicamp, and Gruden just destroys the kid. This fucking Thrash. He's no goddamn. Look at it. We cut him afterwards. Ray Bob's like, he's no. Gruden doesn't want him around, so we cut him. Washington claims him. He goes on and has a career. Every time I hear James Thrash, that's all I think about. Like literally, that was my lesson about Gruden's inability to evaluate talent. That's where it all started. That's where the seeds were planted. So when you say James Thrash to me, it's like, oh, there's my memory. I just got it back. Oh, there it is. Get him out of here. I don't want this guy. He's no goddamn. Get him out. I got to coach. Look at this shit they're having me coach. Look at this. Yeah, he kept saying that all the time, but he's coaching Irving Fryer in his prime. He's coaching, Chris. He killed Chris T. Jones. He thought Chris T. Jones was the worst and then when he played well, and so Ricky Waters, Charlie Gardner. We had no players, and like I'm not making this up. There's validation behind this. Poor Dan Shanka. He went out on a limb. Loved this guy. Head held down when we cut him. Guy plays 6-7 years in the league.
It was longer than that. He played from 97 to 2008. He played 12 years in the league. And
it's unbelievable.
He made his way back to Philadelphia from 2001 to 2003 when Andy Reid was there.
Yeah, when Andy was there, after it got done, it was like, get him out of here. I don't want this guy can't play. Okay. Now, I'm sure they'll all deny it. Like, they'll anything. No, seriously. I know it because when you hit me with that name, it was like, oh, I'm back at Vet Stadium. Remembering that.
Yeah, he's the NFL's hearing officer now. That's a name that I hadn't heard that name in at least a solid 15 years. I always remember him back in those days, Eagles, Cowboys, those games in the early 2000s. But James Thrash decided to uphold Evans' suspension for one game here. Do you agree with Evans being suspended for one game after his altercation once again with Marshawn Lattimore, which actually happened in 2017? He was suspended for it back then as well.
I mean, yeah, because if you don't, the next time they play, you're going to, there's no consequences to it, right? Mm-hmm. So when you suspend them, that's a game check. That's a game check, right? Cha-ching, look, the only thing that registers is the check. It's like, writing on the blackboard, I will not do that again. It ain't going to work. Take cash, that works.
Yeah, cash is the biggest thing that makes the world go round.
Cash works, man. It works. Yeah, it absolutely works. So, I mean, to me, this is like, you send this to the Thrash committee, I mean, and it's getting rejected like Bill Russell going down the lane. There's no chance. Like, they have a stamp. The Thrash committee has a stamp in his office. Rejected.
It was a win that was costly for the Buccaneers because given their wide receiver situation with Godwin, already has the hamstring. Julio Jones, of course, he's hurt here in 2022. Not a whole lot of wide receiver depth for Brady to work with as they now take on the Green Bay Packers. We'll get into that game more when we talk about Sunday's slate. But in addition to Evans, Bruce Arians, now the senior advisor to Jason Light, the general manager, he also got a warning for mixing it up a little bit. We know B.A., he likes to talk a little bit of trash out there on the sidelines. All that was missing was Sean Payton maybe on the New Orleans sideline to talk a little bit trash back, but B.A. gets a little bit of a warning for his involvement in some of the brouhaha that we saw in New Orleans this past Sunday.
Well, I asked you before we started the pod, like, what the fuck was he doing on the sideline? Like seriously, what's he doing down there?
So here's the skinny on that. Oh,
go ahead. Fire away.
Here's the skinny. So I'm reading a story right now that talks about how Arians and both Jason Light were on the sideline rather than upstairs in the booth because head coach Todd Bowles said the Saints did not provide a booth. The Saints said they did provide seating for both Arians and Light in the press box. So you're getting two rivals saying, all right, we did, we didn't, whatever happened.
Timeout. TV timeout here. Okay, timeout, right? Let's go to the replay booth here. You know, like that commercial with Progressive when they go to the replay booth. Like, how many of us men have lived that scenario? You know, where we think something and the woman's always right. I mean, it's horrible. But anyway, so let's go to the replay booth here. First of all, in all my years in the National Football League, the team. The visiting team has never given a private booth to the staff. They give it to the owner, right? The owner gets a suite, but you sit in the press box, right? There were times where when I first started at the Raiders, Al Davis on the road used to sit in the press box. Now, it was uncomfortable because he was MFing everybody and he was loud and you could hear everything. So eventually he had to move to the owner's box because he wanted to watch the game, you know, without the distractions of the people around him. To me, every time I've been on the road, they give you seats in the press box. And you sit there, and that's where you watch the game. I've never been, I don't want to watch the game in the owner's booth because he's got people in there with, he's got all his friends and everybody in there, and they're asking you questions. You can't concentrate. And it puts you in a horrible position, when the coaches does something wrong and they think it's wrong, but you can't explain it. And, it's just a mess. Like, to me, no. But, I mean, I don't know why didn't he just take the seat? Like, just sit in the press box. Like, the Saints are completely in the right here. Like, there's nothing they don't have to provide them with a suite. So, they have to do that. Like,
so why did Tampa expect a suite here? Why was that the expectation?
I have no idea. Maybe if the Glazer family didn't come to the game, and they weren't coming, and then maybe the Saints said, okay, since you're not coming, we're not providing you with a suite. But that never happens. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know why the Bucs would expect that. Maybe last year they got one and this year they didn't. I don't know. But to me, like, I never wanted to be on the field I can't watch the game from the field. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't tell you what I see from the field. I have to see the game from above. And so when I walk off a practice field, like, I can tell how it went, but I got to watch the tape, right? Mm-hmm. Some people can watch the game from the field and have it. I can't. Like, I'm sure Bruce could. I can't imagine Jason Light's very good on the field. I'm sure he probably the same as me because he spent his whole life looking down. So to me, it's the only chance you have. I don't know. To me, this is and to me, like, show some composure down there, Bruce. Like, seriously, you can't get all emotional.
It's a couple of rivals mixing it up. Bucs, Saints, the next time they play, it'll be in Tampa. We'll see if the Bucs provide Mickey Loomis and the crew with a booth up there in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. Thanks for watching the GM Shuffle with Michael Lombardi. And for more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to VSiN Live and the GM Shuffle podcast with Michael Lombardi, presented by DraftKings and VSiN, wherever you get your podcasts.